Hey guys, welcome to Know Your Gear number 77. It's Friday, August the 10th. And before we get started, just a quick shout out to some of the patrons: James Biles, Robert Brooks, Tim Camacho, Robert Hodges, Steve Penna, Paul Ostrick, Michael Lindner, Joe Watson, Gregor, Jonathan Pickering, and Bob Pickwoad. And like I said, every week we'll do a few to mention a few more of these amazing people who sponsor the channel. Us also, of course, you guys watching right now. You guys are sponsoring too by watching this thing and hanging out. So let's see what you guys got going on, see what questions you have, and also let's see what's going on this week. It seems like a pretty crazy fun week. It seems like hopefully everybody's heat waves are kind of subsiding. Looks like the whole world was getting cooked. So what do you guys got? I saw one question already that was kind of fun. But I didn't see where it is now. Somebody asked me, what do I think of Rickenbackers? Rickenbackers. I like Rickenbacker guitars. I actually owned one for a while. I love the way they sound. You know, I'm a Tom Petty fan for sure. And that's one of the people that I kind of remember playing one, that loving the way it sounded. But the neck was kind of small for me. Yeah, it was Tundi Bruin. Said I had a Rickenbacker 462. Think it looked like a 4002. But yeah, it was a great guitar, and it just didn't get a lot in the rotation. And I bought it used, I want to say for $1,600, and that was a lot of money to have invested in a guitar I wasn't using as much. That's what happens with guitars sometimes. Is now I've kind of rethought my strategy. It used to be if I didn't use a guitar, it meant it have to go. I realize now it's got to be if I don't like the guitar, it's got to go. What happens is sometimes when you don't use a guitar, you think, okay, well, this money's tied up to this thing, and you know, it's not getting value, so it's time to move on. But what I've learned is that sometimes, you know, you get in that mood again to want that guitar back, and sadly enough, in most cases, you're going to pay more the second time around than the first time. So sometimes it's a good idea to hold on to those guitars. But what I did in the meantime is right there, if you can't see, I have that Dane Electro, and that's kind of my Rickenbacker sound right now. That's how I get that kind of that sound. It's not the same, but it gives you the same thing. All right, what else do you guys got? What else is going on? Anyone find anything cool? New gear, new exciting stuff, new music? Let's see, guys, what do we got? All right, here's a question. AB Music and More says, Phil, bought an Epiphone Les Paul standard yesterday for the first Les Paul, my first Les Paul. Was wondering if you had a recommendation for a good pickup upgrade for a good price. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know what? Don't forget used pickups. That's another good value out there. I like, for that guitar, you can go with a Seymour Duncan, like 59s. Those are good, 59 set. You can go with the Seymour Duncan, maybe a 59 in the neck and a Pearly Gates in the bridge. That's a great set. And DiMarzio, again, I like the PAFs. I'm more of a traditional kind of Les Paul person. So I like Les Pauls. I like something that's close to the original pickups. One of the things that's really great, and again, you can pick them up. There's a bunch on my Craigslist right now. Sometimes you can find actual Gibson Les Paul pickups and put those in there too. Classic 57s. Now, everybody's got a different, you know, kind of preference. I like the Classic 57. I like the Burstbucker. I'm not a big fan of the Burstbucker Pro, but I've had good experiences with those. But again, I definitely prefer Burstbucker over the Pros. What is it? What are the numbers? The 489 or the 4, whatever the 400 number is. I've had good luck with those as well. Some people, again, don't like those as much, but I like them fine. Again, anything that's in the lower output. But, you know, if you're trying to keep the price right, sometimes not only Seymour Duncan's more fairly priced in the market, but used, again, you can find those. Just make sure you have enough lead to solder them in yourself. Okay, Mike Mooney says, hey, Phil, have you had a chance to check out the guitar from Solar Guitars yet? I haven't had a chance to check out a Solar guitar yet. And the idea that I haven't checked out the Solar, now I'm assuming that they're going to feel a lot like the Washburns that predate the Solar guitars. And I liked those guitars. I actually have a good experience playing them, setting them up, even with the Evertune bridge. So we'll see. I'm curious. I have a friend who just bought a Solar guitar, and he said he's willing to let me borrow it to do a review. So I think that's going to happen. And I'm really interested in doing that. because kind of like the Chapman guitar, I like to review those kind of guitars since they're kind of on my side of the fence. You know, they're all YouTubers. You know, not be involved with them in the process of reviewing it, so I don't feel any obligations to them. So, like I said, I'm curious what we see. And actually, he had an interesting story in the idea that what happened with his purchase, and I'll share that in the review too, because that was also some interesting stuff that happened to him. Oh man, is Shinnery you kid? I tried my best. Shinnery, your kid, just didn't want to do super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. I will put that towards the channel. Let's see. Jake wants to know, any chance I'll demo the EVH Chorus pedal? I would love to. I have no intentions of buying it. It's not on my wish list of pedals. So if it gets demoed or reviewed, or should I say demo reviewed, it will be because, you know, I get to borrow one from somebody, or I get a loaner from MXR themselves. I don't have any hookups with MXR, even though I'm a huge fan. You know, it's funny, the two companies I think I own the most product from, and pedals without a doubt. I own a massive amount of Boss pedals and MXR pedals. I'm a huge fan. And the funny part is those are the two relationships I have not scored with being a YouTuber, which is funny because you would think that's the company, since I think I've done a lot of their products. But you know, I think they go for the bigger channels. That's what it is. So that's what I notice. I notice Boss, you get love if you have a kind of a bigger channel, but I haven't got much love from the Boss people and the MXR people. Yeah. So that's okay, right? I like their products, so I'll just buy it on my own. Sarang wants to know, hey, Phil, what do you think of the Addario XLR8? Okay, I need to look this up because I think that is a string. I think it's the 8-gauge NYXLs, right? Let's make sure before I say something silly, because XLR8 also sounds like accelerate. So I'm wondering if it's a product. XLR8. See, good thing this is why I'm string lubricant cleaner and polish for you guys that are here, just because I like to share with you guys what I'm looking at. Okay, this is it. You can see right here. I actually have a can of this. They sent me a package when I did the restring event. What happened with the restring event? I never talked about this, but Addario, there was a mess up, and Addario did not get the strings and the equipment to me until the day of the event. In fact, what happened was it arrived an hour after the event started, and the problem was it was sent to my office, which is an hour and like 10 minutes away from that Sam Ash. So my wife was very kind, and she went and got it and brought it to me. So I didn't get the stuff from Addario until about 2.5, 3 hours into the event. And the Sam Ash guys were great. They were loaning us packs of strings and loaning us stuff to keep us going. But unfortunately, I didn't have time to even look inside the box to see what Addario had given us. And so there was some of that stuff in there. I just didn't get to use it because I didn't know it was in there. So unfortunately, I don't have an experience with it, even though I have a can of it downstairs. I'll try and use it in the future. So sometimes maybe we'll talk about one day, but so, you know, that restring event was riddled with disasters before it started. It's one of those, the show must go on, but boy, there was a lot of high stress moments before it started. Let's see. What else you guys got? That was cool. Also, if you guys have tried the Accelerate stuff, make sure you put it in the comments. Zim's Guitars, but it's Neil here. So it's Neil from Neil's hanging out at Zim's Guitars, and he says, I have a DOD Gronkulator. Yeah, the Gronkulator, Digitech Dirty Robot, Earthquaker Bit Commander. Where to put in pedal chain or just experiment because they are so weird. Well, in the chain, obviously all of those are going to go in the front end of the amp. So I don't know. That's the Dirty Robot. Those are some weird pedals, Neil. So yeah, you just put them in front of the amp, you know, and you already know, you know, it's one of those things I can't help you because I think you should experiment. You know what I mean? that's part of the amazing thing. If it's like teach a fish and teach a man to fish and give a man a fish. You'll never, if I told you the right order, you'll never experience the awesome mistakes that happen. There's a couple things I do when putting my pedals in order that I think are wrong in the way that I think the general population of guitar players think, but I've done it through experimentation. It just worked for me. So, what do we have next? Bailey wants to know, hey, Phil, how would you compare the Fender 65 Princeton to the 68 Princeton? Which do you prefer and why? Well, I'm going to give you a hint, Bailey. I prefer the 68. Now, I had the 65 and I had the 68, and I like the 68 more because the 65 is great. It's clear. It's a great amp. The 68 to me is just a little bassier, a little bit more fullness when you're using those strats and those single coils, which is what I use my Princeton a lot for. Just anything to help that anemic situation, right? There's some magic about the Strat, but there's something sometimes really thin about it. And so just something to fatten it up. The only thing I don't like about the 68 is the drip pan, the little frame around the screen, which I took mine off. It's staple gunned on there. It was an easy fix. I just took it off. Mine was rattling, actually, something fierce. It was driving me bonkers. So I took it off. But that's my preference. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the 68 is slightly less money. I think it's like $50 less. And I don't know. I like it. And usually, that's hey, you try it for yourself kind of thing. But I really like the 68. I can't imagine you could go wrong. So... all right, what else do we got? Somebody asked if I heard about the new Mesa Boogie Fillmore 50. That was Jeremy C. Phil, have you heard about the new Mesa Boogie Fillmore 50? I seen the ad. I've even got in my I get videos and I throw them in queues so I can watch them later. The Andy Timmons, I'm excited. I'm a big Andy Timmons fan. I love his tone, which in fact, he's the reason I own Mesa Boogies. So, in fact, I think it was Andy Timmons that taught me through watching his stuff. I love the Strat through the Boogie sound, which is what I use a lot. And that's because of him. He's the reason I bought so many of the Boogie amps. I'm curious, right? The Fillmore 50. It looks exciting. It kind of looks like a big, huge kind of Fender amp kind of sound. But I know nothing other than the picture. I'm really curious. Somebody was saying, I wish I could give credit to it. One of my friends was saying either yesterday or today, it was last night, that Mesa Boogie's still in the fight. In other words, Mesa Boogie's still coming out with great product and still trying. And we were talking about how Marshall's kind of not trying as hard. You know what I mean? Marshall doesn't come out with exciting products. It's funny to me. It's like Mesa hasn't said, hey, we're going to make a modeling amp for $199 and just call it a day. It's great to see Mesa constantly put out stuff and try to just keep going and keep the market going for what they got. And I think I just want to give them accolades because there's some great stuff. I still absolutely love my Mesa Boogie Mark V Mini 25 head. I just do. I love it. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite amps for sure. That and my Princeton are my two favorite amps, without a doubt. The Archon is definitely a great amp, and it's probably third in that list. But those two. Another great question here that I love is, there's two actually, I penned them both, but one is, Boss Catan. Oh, okay, here it is. Dan C says, hey, Phil, this is important, Dan, because I was talking about this at lunch today. Hey, Phil, any thoughts on the Victory amps? I'm considering the BD1. So funny story is I owned the Kraken and mine broke. And then I got another Kraken and it broke. And so that was pretty much the end of the Krakens for me. And I had the Sheriff, and that was nice. But the amp that I fell in love with was the BD1. And I really love that amp. Man, I loved it so much. And I played it all the time. And what happened was a buddy of mine really wanted a BD1. And funny was I had an RD1 in stock. So I sold him my BD1 and got the RD1. which is the same amp. So the BD1 is black and it doesn't have Rob Chapman's name on it. The RD1 is red and has Chapman's name on it. And so I got the RD1. And it was when I was, if you look in the original, the beginning of my channel, you'll see the RD1 a lot in the background of the videos. And what happened was I was, I guess I would like to say I was trying to make a name for myself on YouTube, but really I wasn't. But what was happening was as the channel was growing, there was what happened was I was getting hammered all the time by the trolls about Rob Chapman. And I was just telling this again, a friend the story. I was telling Lawrence this at lunch today. That's funny that this came up. Anyways, I love that amp and I regret getting rid of it. I actually got rid of my RD1 and I regret it ever since. It's one of my favorite amps. I just love that amp. Now, when I say I love it, there's a weird thing about it. And I will tell you this. A friend of mine said something that I think is very accurate. The BD1 RD1 amp, he said, man, this sounds exactly like an orange. And he goes, and that makes sense because Rob Chapman's a big orange fan. I agree. I think you can buy an orange amp that sounds like the BD1 for a little less. But the BD1, I just really liked it. I really, really did. I think about getting one again. Every once in a while I look. You never know. Like I said, I'd like to get one again. So let the trolls troll me anyways. Who cares? Steve Long says, hey, Phil, thoughts on upgrades for the Jem Jr. So if you guys don't know, the Jem Jr. is like the Steve I Jem is a $3,500 made in Japan guitar that Steve I plays. And they make a guitar called the Jem Jr. Jem Jr. Even though it's Junior, it's not smaller. It's the same exact guitar. It just happens to be made in Indonesia. And some of the features are removed. And some of those, of course, are the DiMarzio pickups, and the type of bridge has been downgraded a little bit. He says, so the question is, thoughts on upgrades for his Jem Jr. is the question. Also, what's the red guitar over your left shoulder? Okay, I'll answer them out of order. This guitar is an Alvarez Dana Scoop. I actually have 2 videos about this. 5 things you don't know about the Alvarez Dana Scoop. And of course, I have a review of this guitar. This guitar is, I've had a bunch. In fact, somebody was asking me, if I was going to sell this because they said they missed out when I was trying to sell it before. I know I had another one. I sold that one. I had 3 when I started this channel. And I sold the other 2. I kept this one. I just decided one's enough. That's the one I have. I'll never get rid of it. It's just a guitar I like having around. I love staring at it. It's a very important guitar to me and just, I don't know. It just is. So the thoughts on the upgrades for the Jem Jr. Me personally, upgrade those pickups, buddy. Just put some DiMarzios in there, maybe some Steve I pickups, but that's the biggest thing. And then get a good setup on the guitar, especially round over those frets and take care of some stuff, make sure it plays great. But other than that, I don't think you should invest. You could put a real Floyd Rose in it, but I don't think you'll have a problem with that. I wouldn't. Again, I'm just going to give you what would I do? I would upgrade the pickups. So keep the original pickups. So if you ever sell it, you can put it back the way it was. Michael De La Torre wants to know, how loud is the MT15 versus the LBX II? I didn't do a decibel meter, comparison, but I will tell you, perceptionally, the MT15 feels like it crushes the LBX II. What I can tell you is that Saturday's video, which comes out at 9 a.m. Pacific time, is the Tremonti amp versus the Archon review, full review. And in that video, I will talk about it some more. But one thing I will tell you right now that's important is I did the Tremonti MT15 amp that I have against my Archon 50-watt head. And what I can tell you is, yeah, at some point, the MT, it gets muddy and it just can't go anymore. Volume 6 or 7, it starts, just can't get louder. But the Archon gets a little louder at 50 watts. I can tell you right now, if you are in a band and the MT15 is not loud enough for your band, you're probably playing really, really loud, heavy metal, heavy stuff where where you probably need 100-watt heads anyways. I can't imagine if somebody had a 40-watt amplifier, the MT15 would not hold its ground. It's the loudest 15-watt amp ever. And Michael, a good video to watch if you haven't seen it is my interview with Doug Sewell, the designer of the amp. And so I specifically asked him in the video, why does this amp seem so loud? I've played a ton of amps and I know it's all subjective and I know there's all these things, but I basically accuse them of making a louder amp than it is. And he admits it in the video. He says, hey, it's really more like 17, 18 watts. But more importantly, he said that it can be converted within 30 minutes to 55 watts. So because of the fact that it's the way it's made. So yeah, it's a loud amplifier. And the LBX is plenty loud, but they're not in the same. They're not in the same leg. No way. So, what else do we have going on? Anyone else? Let's see what you got. Mark just said, hey, I got a 2018 Gibson Traditional and the low E string catches on the binding on the fret ends. Okay. Yep. Any idea how to fix this? Thank you. Yeah. What you have is you have some fret sprout, which is really confusing to me because the binding should be over the sides of the frets. The string is catching on the binding on the fret ends. This is really confusing to me. Here's why. What should happen is on a guitar is the frets kind of poke out of the guitar on the neck like this, like a little lip, and then the string kind of hooks over on that. But on a Gibson, the binding, which would be here, right, if the string poked out, or the fret poked out, should be over in front of. So that, unfortunately, I would actually like to see because it's something I've never seen before. And it's the low E string, huh? The catches on the fret ends. Any idea? And you know what, man, Mark, I would love it if you send me a picture. If you could just put, send me an email, 2000 Gibson traditional low string issue, you know, whatever you got to do, and send me a picture of it. I'd love to see it. I'll respond to it because I'm curious. It's a thing. It's a situation I've seen 1,000 times, just not on the guitar you're talking about. So unless I'm missing something, does the 2018 Gibson Traditional not have the correct binding over the frets like a normal Gibson? So I know there was a couple years ago they did that. So and also, so you know, if it doesn't have the plastic ends covering the frets like this, then it is the frets, and then you have to have the fret sprout corrected. You can do that yourself. I got a ton of videos. So if you're watching the Sharpen My Axes, I really kind of hammer on that a lot. If not, you know, you can take it into a local shop and have that done. So it said it's a 2018. I'm assuming it's new. If you bought it new, don't take that crap from anybody. Take it back to the store and have them fix it. If you bought it online, here's what you do so you guys know, a little thing you can do with online. If you buy a new guitar online, there is something that a lot of people maybe not know. So there's a little trick and something that's probably, you know, good to know information. If you buy a guitar, especially a high-end guitar like that, like a Gibson Les Paul online, and you have an issue with it, what's happened in the past, I've done this. That's how I know. I'm telling you from experience. I've done this. You can take that guitar to your local repair shop. And when I say I've done it, I mean, I've done the work for people. You can take it to the local repair shop and get a quote for the repair. And then call the store that sold it to you online and say, hey, look, this is the issue. Here is a confirm, paperwork from the repair center saying this is the problem they found with the new guitar, and that you want the store to pay for that. So like I'll give you an example, like a big store chain online store, what they would do is they would just credit you back on your credit card or your payment plan, PayPal, whatever, the amount or up to an amount. Maybe they'll say, okay, we'll give you $40 of the $62 it is to fix it. I like that option sometimes because sometimes sending something back and getting exchange is great. But if you really like the guitar you have and you don't want to try try the roulette to get another one, that's one thing to do, but also sometimes it's, you know, you may not want to be without your guitar for a couple weeks. So you do have that option, by the way. And what I mean is also, if you take it to a repair shop and they give you a quote to do a basic repair, like a fret sprout or something like that, something you think should be covered. Yeah, warranty, definitely look into getting the warranty done. But sometimes on things like that, like say a setup, you know what? That's something I've seen a million times too. Again, done it for many, many people. The guitar plays horrible. So you go, look, this guitar plays horrible. I need it set up. It's, and this is what they want to charge, $45 or $55, whatever your local setup is. Some people the ranges are like $45 to $75 for a setup. And you say, hey, this is what I want done, and I want you to pay for it. And a lot of times they'll say yes, and a lot of times they'll offer you a portion of that. And again, either way, why not ask? Carmen says it's not fret sprout. There is a space between the binding and the fret on two. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I was hoping it wouldn't be. So in that case, it's a brand new guitar. You need to send it back. If not, you take it in for service and have it fixed. There's definitely, it can be fixed. I've fixed that issue before. I was hoping it wouldn't be that. That's a weird gap issue to have. So, again, You know, what's the point of buying high dollar guitars if you have inexpensive guitar problems? You know what I mean? That's the best thing we all know. You can buy inexpensive guitars right now and put a little elbow grease into them and they play and feel fantastic. But the idea that you're spending $2,000, $3,000 for a guitar that needs the same work that a $300 guitar, $200 guitar may or may not need is unacceptable. You should never take that. So don't be afraid to say, hey, look, I want this addressed. And again, if your concern is that they're going to say you're going to swap the guitar for you and you like this guitar, then keep in mind those other options they gave you. Now, if you bought that guitar used, which is very, very possible, you know, just take it in for service. You know what I mean? Also, though, if you bought it used from a reputable dealer, still go to option A, which is ask them for some kind of discount to cover the repair. So Chris says, take it to a Gibson certified repair dealer and get it fixed and feel free, you can send it back. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yep. Ron Gillespie says, hey, Phil, would you put Fender locking tuners on an Eric Johnson or Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster? No, I wouldn't. You would have to drill 2 holes, and if you went with the Fender actual locking keys, because both those guitars have the Kluson style keys. If it was me, I would do either hip shot or ratio tuners with the Kluson adapters or the ump plates and put them on those guitars. Or get the Kluson locking keys. If you've seen, I did a video on Tyler Larson's guitar. When I did the Sharp Max, I put Kluson Gibson style locking keys on him, but you can buy Kluson Gibson style Strat style keys or 6-in-line keys and put them on there. Direct replacement keys. Don't drill holes in a Eric Johnson or Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster. It would not be my advice. And I honestly feel that both, all 3 of those options, the Kluson locking keys, the hip shots, and the ratios are better quality tuning keys than the ping style Fender locking keys. The only time I recommend the Fender locking keys is for the direct replacement purpose. The Fender locking keys are my least favorite locking keys for quality. But again, direct replacement sometimes is easy and they are inexpensive for the most part. You can pick them up for like $45, $50 sometimes. So something to think about. But in those cases, no. Nope. Go something better. Demontoid. Man, you guys, can't you just be all named Chuck and Bob and Mike and Dave and Shirley? Okay, so anyways, Demontoid. Sure. Demontoid. Have you ever tried a Z-Glide neck? I have. In fact, so you know, not only have I tried them, I've set up many of them for friends. And at the restring event, I actually did a restring on one as well. One of the patrons has one, a really nice one actually. It was one of the best looking ones I've seen in person. If you guys don't know what a Z-Glide neck is, it's a neck that's available by Dean Zielinski, and we're going to look it up because why not? Dean Z-Glide, and there's some fun stuff. I'm going to give you some fun stuff. The Z-Glide neck is what I call the pineapple neck. And let's see if we go to images. Here you go. We're gonna let's find the best picture. There you go. Here we go. Oh, that's tiny. Let's see if we make it bigger, and then I'll share it with you guys. Come on. Here we go. Look at that. Gotta love. We live in the future, everybody, where we can just share stuff. Here we go. Here's what you're looking at right there. You see that? So basically, like I said, I call it the pineapple neck. The idea behind this was, so you know, my first experience with this was when they did this was a rep for the company had this neck, and he said it was a guitar custom built for him. He said he plays pool, like, you know, pool table pool, and he wanted his neck to be like his pool stick, and they did this. And I guess apparently, you know, the idea took off and they started doing this. My personal experience with this neck is they feel interesting. And interesting is not code for anything. I'm not saying, you know, it's not my way of trying to be nice. It's interesting. It's different. My only issue, I'll give you my only negative, is that it's, to me, one of those guitars that it's hard for me to play that and then go back to my normal guitar and then go back to that. I think you kind of want to, I don't know. You know what I mean? I can see where somebody would fall in love with that neck and then never want to play any other neck again. That person's not me. So I actually like the necks the way they are now, but it's really cool and different. Give them props for that. Yeah, a lot of you are now you guys are like, what the heck? Yeah, Mike says, how does your hand slide on that? You know, it's actually not as deep and gougy. I know I'm saying pineapple and you're probably, it's putting an image in your head. You're very rough. It's actually very smooth. You can feel it. It's like they cut all that out and then they sanded over it. So it's a little smoother. You know, I actually kind of would like it if they would spray clear coat over it too on top of that and give it a nice feel, but I'm sure maybe they tried that and didn't like it, but it's different. So the downfall of it is that you can only buy them online direct. So you have to kind of, you know, throw a, I don't know, what do you call it? A Hail Mary at it and hope that you like it. Dennis says Z-Glide reduces friction by lessening the surface area. Yes. That is the theory. Again, you know, it's there are so many crazy necks. Look at the Strandberg necks, you know, with all their weird cuts and stuff. And that neck is actually very comfortable. What I can tell you about Z-Glide is that the first time I picked one up and the second time, third time now, of course, a week ago when I was checking out the patrons that had it. Yeah, nothing of it made me go, oh my goodness, that was horrible. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It was fine. It's just, again, not my thing. Hey, somebody says it's called a billiard stick. See, I don't play pool. That's cool. Billiard stick. Yeah, because it's billiards, isn't it? Instead of pool. So, but there you go. Now you've seen a new crazy thing. Hopefully a bunch of you will decide that this is what you got to have. Indie Trucks 2003 says, dude, your wife hooked me up with an awesome shirt for my Patreon donations, Phil. I'm excited to see it in person. I'm glad. She's been working nonstop this week, man. Every time I see her by her desk, she has an office with a desk. Every time I see her at a desk, she is just working on those shirts, guys. And you know what? I am enjoying it immensely to see all the crazy stuff you guys came up with. So it's cool. It's been fun. I appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you again for all the sponsorship and help. You guys are the best. And I'll let her know you appreciate it. Cause like I said, she's done a lot of crazy stuff this, last couple of weeks when it comes to the shirt designs and so there you go. All right. What else do we got? You guys got a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to check real quick. I'm going to go into my log. Cause I was pinning some comments. I don't want to lose them. Let's see what happens if we go. Whoops, we go here. Give me 1 second, guys. Be patient. I'll get back. It's like we'll be back to the show in a minute. Okay, here we go. It is all right. Okay, Sean Brown says opinion on the DOD Preamp 250. All right, let's take a look at that, Sean. Okay, we're going to put it in the search engine and take a look. Some of this stuff I just know by heart, but sometimes, the old yellow pedal. Yeah, that's not old anymore. It's new again. You know, I can tell you, I saw Andy at Pro Guitar Shop's demo it, years ago, and I thought it was fantastic. Then nothing in me has made me want to reach out and buy that one. You know, DOD is a pedal that I've always kind of respected and liked for what they are. I mean, but you know, nothing here. Let's show everybody just so you guys see. Screen share. Look at that. All those pedals. And look, here's a picture of a gold one and a yellow one. So there it is. I haven't tried it, so I just don't know. I've just seen videos like you and everybody else. So I'm curious if you guys have tried this pedal, anybody watching it, not only would I like to hear what your thoughts are, but I would like to hear any counter thoughts. Like if you've tried other pedals like it as a preamp pedal. So I just don't have an experience with it. I don't know. I haven't needed a preamp pedal. So the closest thing I use to a preamp pedal is either a boost with a EQ section in it, or I use a what do you call it? It's by Dunlop. It's the Echoplex preamp. I'm looking right at it. Echoplex preamp. I like that one a lot, even though I think it's one knob. That's all you need. One knob of great tone. I love that pedal. So I'm not sure it's the same thing, but so. Jimmy wants you to know that he likes the DOD Bifet preamp better. So Justin Mabe did a crazy $50 super chat, man. Justin, by the way, is the guy who is made the gold top Les Paul. He's the one that had the gold top Les Paul commission shirt made that I love, and it's an amazing shirt. Says, have you ever played or worked on a Fernandez LE1? If so, thoughts on it. Also, I see some people asking me, asking what make a pickup hot. Could you please explain? Okay, two good questions. Okay, let's do this out of order again. Seems to be what makes a pickup hot is a good question, and here's why it's a really good question, because it's terminology that is not real. Okay, so if you guys are into hot peppers, right, like spicy peppers, you know what the Scoville score is, where we can actually say it's like, this is 500 times hotter than a jalapeno. This is 10 times hotter than a jalapeno. And pickups don't have any kind of logic like that. There is no baseline that I know of that says this pickup is not hot and this pickup is hot. So what are we talking about? Let's start where pickups start. I think that's the best way for me to think about how pickups are. Pickups start with like the PAFs, right? So you have the Gibson 57s and 1959 style pickups. Style. And notice I'm saying style. Okay. So everybody's heard of that, right? The PAF, the patent applied for pickup. PAF stands for patent applied for. Or the 59s. So if you're a Seymour Duncan fan, they call theirs the 59s. DiMarzio calls theirs the PAFs. Gibson will call the 57 classics, right? That's before the 59s. Anyways, those to me are pickups that are not low output. Those are just humbuckers. Then as humbuckers get hotter, in other words, there's more, usually we're talking about milliamps, right? Or resistance, right? But more importantly, I'll give you an example. The first hot pickup that anybody remembers is the full, no, not the full, Super Distortion by DiMarzio. That's really the pickup. Everybody remembers it's dual cream colored bobbins. It was shoved into every Les Paul on the planet. It's really like, that's where DiMarzio kind of made his name. Larry came out with that pickup, and it was like, everybody's like, look at what it's doing to my amp. It's pushing this Marshall over. So that's a hot pickup. So the reason we call it hot is it's more output. It's pushing the amp harder than the lower output pickups, like those are previous ones I mentioned. And then nowadays it gets even more crazy than that. There are pickups that are really high output pickups that just keep pushing amps overdrive like crazy. So a hot pickup is essentially, and single coils work the same way when you hear hot single coils. One of the issues I have all the time is some people will refer to as Texas specials as being hot pickups. But comparatively to low output pickups, believe it or not, there are other pickups that are not considered hot single coils that are actually more output than Texas specials. I think Texas specials, just because of the, everybody kind of pictures Stevie Ray Vaughan and his kind of a ferocious, tone and that overdrive. I think that's why they picture that. But there you go. All right. On the other question, which is the Fernandez LE, it's a Strat style guitar. What do I think of it? It's a Strat style guitar. I like Strats. So, when I say I like Strats, I mean, I like Strat style guitars. So I can't tell you if I've ever played or worked on one. I have played on Fernandez guitars. I've definitely worked on many Fernandez guitars and a lot of the Strat style guitars. I just couldn't remember if it was specifically called an LE1. But I like Fernandez quality, and I like their guitars. I've been happy with all the ones I've touched in the past, and they were definitely like as Strat clones go, one of the ones I would recommend. It's hard to just say blatantly like, yeah, definitely a great guitar, but that's cool. I hope that kind of that makes sense. All righty, what else do we got? Bill says this goes back to the preamps. He likes the EP booster the best. You know what? I have the EP booster. That is a great pedal too, to front in front of an amp. Joe McCarthy says, hey, what do you think of the StewMac amp kits, 5 watt and 15 watts? I have not checked them out at all. The only thing I know about them is the StewMac guys. When what did I do? I did the restring tackle box. I sent them a link to the video saying, hey, I made this video and it has a lot of your tools in it. Here you go. Brock was nice enough to say, oh, thanks for the video. It looks great, Phil. Great job. He liked it. And he said, hey, well, we're kind of busy working on amp kits. So I happen to know they're doing amp kits. Don't know much about them yet. So I haven't even checked them out. So there you go. Okay, what else do we got? We got some more stuff I'm missing. Hold on. Don't worry. If you've done a super chat and I haven't mentioned you guys, just keep in mind. I'll get to it. Just give me a second. What else? Okay, so Sarang wants to know, hey, Phil, what do you think about using pickup covers on an HS Strat humbucker? Yeah, I love it. In fact, I'm doing it right now. So I have a video. I don't know if it's going to work. I have a video. It's not a video I'm making, for YouTube. I'm doing something right now, some Frankensteining, as you will. I have 2 Strats, and here's the problem. I love the way one looks, and I love the way one plays. I love the neck on one. The one I love, way the love it looks, I hate the neck. So I don't know what it is. It's just not, it's not jiving with me. So I'm going to take and swap all the parts of the 2 Strats and try to make one Strat out of the one that I like. And I thought, well, I'll film it. And I think what I'm going to do is in the whole, hey, let's kind of know your gear. The know your gear is about learning, right? It's knowing, not that we know everything. It's literally that we're trying to figure it out. I thought, let's do this, because if it works, hey, I'll have a video where it works. And if it doesn't work, you'll see all the work I just did and then all the work I had to put it back together. What a waste this is. But I have an experience with this in the past, by the way. I have done this in the past to great success once, and I've done it with great failure once. So I have a 50-50 shot, I think. Jojo wants to know, how's the weather in Arizona? You need a cold beer. Yeah, you know what? It's not hot right now. It's been raining. We're getting monsoon, so it's taming down a little bit. Now, of course, when I say taming down, I mean, it's still 100 degrees, but it ain't 115. You know what I mean? Those days are, we're getting a week off from that stuff. Indrid Cold says, sorry, Indrid Cold, is Jeff hurting Diamond by not sending out guitars for review? Great guitars that no one ever talks about. Also, check out Matthew's effects. Oh, cool, check it out. I don't know if he's hurting Diamond. I bought 2 Diamond guitars. I reviewed one, and then I put one on the other videos. They were ones I purchased from him. And in true transparency, Jeff Diamond, so just because I want you to know, he said I could have one. That's what happened. He said, hey, Phil, if you want a guitar, you can have a guitar. He told me it was a really nice gesture. He basically said, go on his website, pick out a guitar, and then he'll mail it to me. I get to keep it and do a review. And I went on his website and I fell in love with 2 of them. And I said, okay, cool. Send me this one and I'll buy this one. And then what happened was he's like, well, why don't we I'll sell them to you for 50% off, the price. So, or dealer cost. That's a better way to put it. He sold it to me for dealer cost. So I bought 2 at dealer cost. So I don't think he's hurting Diamond. I think he would send out more guitars to review. So I think if I asked him for a guitar to review, I think he'd send me one. I'm not saying to keep, but I mean, definitely if I want to borrow one and stuff. You're the first one, so to ever ask about Diamond guitars. I think the guitars are very good. They're up there with Schecter. They're cool. They're unique. They're interesting. But sometimes I do a video and then there's not a whole lot of interest, so I don't go back to it. But it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I have a high opinion of the ones I've played. Okay, Craig Parker says, hey, Phil, love the show. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Says, I have a PRS McCarty hollow body. Oh, that's nice. Hollow body 1. So it's got the mahogany back and the maple top with a piezo pickup, pizza pickup. Pizza pickup. What are your thoughts on using wound 3rd string 11 to 49? I permanently play rock and hard rock music in a cover band. Thanks. I don't personally like it. the wound third on those guitars. They shipped them, I think, with a wound third. I think I've seen a bunch of them shipped with wound thirds. You know what it is? The wound third to me is, so basically what they're doing is they're giving you an acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitars are 4 wound strings and 2 cores, and electric guitars are 3 core wires and 3 wound strings. And they're trying to give you more of an acoustic thing. I find that it just doesn't do, you know what? Me personally, just, I don't know. I use 11 to 49. That's what I would probably use on that guitar. I would probably use 11s, either hybrid 10s or I use 11s, and 11s and not a wound third. That's my preference. But let me know. I'm curious to see, Craig, what you think of the wound third. So, but I've tried it on Gress too, by the way. I put wound thirds on my Gretches. Wound third is a string that I bought a bunch of those packs thinking this is going to give me a fatter, thicker sound. And the problem I have, I should be very specific because it's important. The problem I have is when you play big open chords, like big G majors and you play E and E minor, you play the big open chords where you're strumming lots of strings. The wound third, it does sound fuller. Those strings sound fuller. But then when you play individual notes and you play the individual notes on the wound third string, which is a wound G string for you guys there. Yeah, okay. So wound G string, I found it sound thinner. The notes sound tinier and thinner. I didn't really enjoy it. So that's my experience. Tony says, hey, Phil, did you get that Omen 6 for $200? What are the pickups in it? They are branded Schecter, but... Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I read it wrong. It says, hey, Phil, I did get that Omen 6 that we for $200. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Okay. What are the pickups in it? They are branded Schecter, but did they make their own pickups? Well, they, I don't know if they make their own pickups. I mean, I'm sure that they, there's a manufacturer overseas that makes pickups, and Schecter just brands them themselves. They're okay. They're good pickups. I think you should be happy. The question I have for you, Tony, is let me start here. Before you ever change out pickups, I'm going to be like a broken record on all these episodes. Before you ever change out pickups, you first have to identify what you don't like about the current pickups. Sometimes when people go, I'm going to change out these pickups, and I go, why? What is it about the current pickups you don't like? And they go, I don't know. Just I figured if I put better pickups in it, sound better. I'm like, right, but only if you know exactly what is deficient about the ones you have now. In other words, are they too bassy? Are they too mid-rangey? Are they too thin? Are they too, whatever, and that helps you kind of go to the next way. Other than that, I thought they sounded fine. Like I said, overall quality, I think you're getting good pickups. For a $200 guitar, man, you've scored. It's a great guitar. Jim Jeff, the guy with 2 first names. Jim Jeff says, okay, so he's got a Telly. American Special, I see he's abbreviating. I have an American Special Telly, looking for a pickup for the Highway 1 Strat. Thought about putting Texas Specials in my Strat, but maybe something different to complement. Want reverse round something. RW, doesn't matter. That's okay. So the Texas Specials, I like Texas Specials. I like Texas Specials personally more than the Fat 50s pickups. So the Fat 50s to me are just they're too bright. I like the Texas Specials, but more than those, I like the 60s pickups. There's all kinds that Fender makes. There's a 69, there's a 62, anything with a 60s. I like it. I think Fender single coils really came into the world that I love when they got the 60s pickups, man. The little hotter, slightly higher output pickups, just a little fatter sounding, a little punchier, just all the way better pickups, in my opinion. So that's all. I'll recommend that. And so if it sounds like the opposite of what you like of what I'm saying, then to go with something anti to what I'm recommending. But if you want that fuller, fatter, to me, a Strat is always a fight to get it to sound fuller. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, when everybody's like, oh, these pickups are bright and clear and chimey, I'm like, well, that's the guitars. I mean, I stick humbuckers in Strats and they still are bright and chimey. So I don't think there's ever a problem with you know what I mean, with getting that tone. So I'm trying to get it fuller sounding. Let's see. Okay. What else? Okay. Lefty Mike. Hey, Mike, you don't happen to be left-handed, are you? Or I don't know. Wouldn't I feel horrible if Lefty Mike meant that he has like a right eye? I don't know. I just feel bad. All right, Lefty Mike. Okay, Lefty Mike says, recently got a Godin Exit 22. Found it has alpha pots. Now wondering if I should also change the pickups. Your thoughts? Thanks. No, the Godin pickups I think are pretty good. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of alpha pots, but always keep in mind, some people are giving me a hard time about this alpha pot thing. That I'm not into alpha pots. A lot of people are like, hey, alpha pots are great, Phil. What's your problem? So here's the thing I want to keep explaining about alpha pots. I don't think they sound bad. I just know they wear out fast. So, because I replace them all the time. When you replace a lot of stuff, when you fix a lot of stuff, just like a mechanic, right? I'm a guitar technician. When you repair a lot of stuff on guitars, you start noticing things like certain input jacks you're just constantly doing, certain potentiometers, certain things are wearing out. Alpha pots, if you have alpha pots in your guitar, if you're in a situation where you're gigging a lot and you're going to be putting a lot of abuse on the guitar and you never want to, I never want to take the chance that they go out on stage, maybe go ahead and swap them. But no, just when it's time to swap them, put better components in there. But I don't think that's necessarily the thing to do. And a lot of people will say, hey, if you take out the components and you put better components, it'll sound better. Yes, but here's the deal. I would never argue that improving anything on a guitar is not going to give you improvement. The problem is the cost benefit. You can get 1% better for 10% more of the guitar's cost. In other words, it's a $200 guitar and you spend $20 in parts, but you get, a little 1% change. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but it's up to you. Everybody's got to, it's their pocketbook. You decide what you want to do. So I will not upgrade guitars for the sake of upgrading them. So AES Cleese says, Phil, why are the KYG, the Know Your Gear podcast files so large? I have no idea, man. I have no idea how to do it. This is a complaint I've gotten for a lot of people that the files are so big. It's because however I'm downloading them and then putting them up on SoundCloud, the files are wrong. I have no idea what I'm doing. What happened was everybody said, hey, could you upload this as a podcast? And I just did it. And I've never went back and kind of went and tried to figure out what is so large about the files. That's something I'll try to devote some time to improve that experience. You know what I mean? For you guys, it is something I'm aware of, but yes, I know it's wrong. But so, at this point, I went with at least it's up there. You know what I mean? So I know it's horrible and I appreciate you dealing with it. And I promise I'll eventually fix it. But it's sometimes one of the downfalls, not complaining, I'm just explaining. One of the downfalls of this business model or this thing I'm doing on YouTube is a lot of things like podcasts and Instagram, Facebook, answering emails. There's no revenue in that. There's no money in that. It's all good faith. In other words, I'm community building. We're accessing each other's stuff. We're getting to know each other. Yes, I think that goodwill pays dividends. You guys have been very good to me when it comes to buying merchandise and sponsoring through Patreon, watching the shows, thumbs upping. Don't forget the thumbs up, guys. Sharing videos, all that stuff. You guys have done more than your share. I have nothing but thank yous to give out. However, sometimes the problem is I got to also manage this when I'm devoting. Sometimes I look up at the clock and I'm like, I spent 6 hours in one day on a thing that really has zero, like literally not only makes me zero money, but it will never make me any money. Podcasts only make money if you have sponsors. And I use Patreon as my sponsors for these live shows. So because of that, you know what I mean? The podcast, I don't have a revenue stream coming from the podcast. So I'm going to fix all that stuff. I just, unfortunately, a lot of times how you fix that is you hire somebody. I just haven't dipped into the resources to do that. Or I got to do the research to figure it out. If anyone knows what I'm doing wrong, let me know. It will help me fix it. Sean says, Antiquity soap bar pickups in my SC Zach Myers, ? In other words, should you do that? Heck yeah. The Antiquity soap bar pickups are fantastic. That's a good pickup. If you want a soap bar pickup, that's one of the ones I like. Jacob says you need to convert the file and then just drag it into audio. So, okay, I know I have to convert the file. So if I told you guys what I'm doing, you're just going to make fun of me. I'm literally just downloading it as a MP4 and then uploading it raw. I know I have to remove the audio and do it that way. Again, it's just an extra step process. And the reason is, and like I said, I will get to it. The thing is when we do these live shows, even though I'm just talking for an hour or so, the thing after, as you guys know, as soon as it's over, I go and I do the time index, which I actually have to watch this whole thing again. And then I stamp all the questions out, and then I put all the links. And then when I do that, then I download it and upload. So I'm busy for like another hour and a half to hour and 40 minutes after this, doing this. So it just hasn't been a priority for me, but I promise, cause it's not the first time I heard that's the other thing too. I didn't want to really, do this. Plus I need to also do it because, on a side note, it's probably good news. I should tell you guys, the other thing that was happening was iTunes used to not give you data. So I had no idea what was going on. And now they started this beta program where they're giving, content creators data. I had no idea how many downloads were happening until I saw that. And when I saw it, I was in shock. You guys are downloading this as a podcast way, way more than I ever thought. I mean, way more. Like I thought it'd be maybe hundreds or a few thousand. I didn't know you guys were downloading so many people are downloading it as a podcast. So I will definitely get on that. Okay. Price has a question, but I'm a little confused by it. Is playing music you don't like part of music maturation? And hold on a second. Hold on. Hey, you know what? I didn't know what it meant. It means the action of or process of maturing. There you go. You win smart guy of the video award. Great price, great way. Okay. So is playing music you don't like part of basically maturing? Absolutely. Something to note, I want to point out, I want to make this announcement. It's very important to me. I will put it on the Facebook. I will put it everywhere I can. My buddy is coming to town. I am super excited about it. And I am going to tell you, he is one of the most talented people I know. Larry Mitchell is this fantastic guitar player, a good friend of mine. He's fantastic. And I'm going to go watch him play. So if you are in the Mesa, Arizona, he's going to play Sunday, August 26th at 4 p.m. at the Listening Room. Now, there's a reason, Price, why I'm telling you this. First, everybody should check out Larry Mitchell. It'll blow you away. I mean, it's like, just blow you away. So, but he said he did a clinic once, which is on the Know Your Gear channel. It's not on my channel, but it's on my Know Your Gear channel. The clinic he gave, and in the clinic he said something that was amazing. He said that if you only play music in your genre, you'll never evolve that genre. And I thought, what a fantastic thing to say. You know what I mean? He's like, if you only play what the stuff you play, you'll never grow from it, grow out of it. So yes, is playing music you don't like part of maturing? Yes, I agree with Larry 100%. If you don't play music outside of what you do. And the reason I think it's important is, here's a good example. I played jazz funk the majority of my life. That's what I play. I love punk rock. So, I love punk rock. I play a lot of punk rock for fun. It's awesome, but I've never played in a punk rock band. In bands, I have mostly played jazz funk, which, if you watch my channel, that's not what you would get from anything. And the reason is because people don't respond to jazz and funk as demo for product. And most product is geared towards rock. So you demo it rock to demo rock product, rock and roll metal product. But yes, so I have had to learn genres that I'm not familiar with because of the fact as, like I said, I'm rooted more into a funk style. So there you go. All right. We're at the last. We got to scoop up the last couple ones before we go. What else? I just want to make sure I don't lose anything. We had a good turnout, guys. Over 850 of us hanging out today. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, make sure you do the thumbs up thing to help and share, kind of help the videos along and stuff. I appreciate that so much. Matt Harrison says, hey, Phil, are there any guitars or amps on your bucket list? You know, the only guitar I've never owned that I've always wanted to own is a Steve Vai Universe Swirl guitar. It is at this point priced to the point where I'm never going to buy one. If I was to win millions of dollars in the lottery, I don't think I'd spend $7,000-8,000 for that guitar. It's just not me. You know what I mean? So there you go. But that being said, is it on my bucket list? I guess, you know, if I ever find one for the price that I would be willing to pay, that's a guitar I would like to own. Main reason is I own a couple of Ibanez 7 strings and they play the same way. Amplifiers? No, there's nothing on my bucket list. There's nothing like at this point I would really like to own. So no. In fact, you know what? The biggest thing on my bucket list for musical gear ever in my life, the dream, the magic, you know, as you will, when you guys, dare to dream the thing, like, oh, a custom, my own artist guitar with my name on it. It's never appealed to me. You know what it is? It's ironically, it's right behind me. It's that bass right there. My dream has always been to own a custom made Warwick bass. And because of the GitCon, I was able to do that. Warwick custom made me the bass. That's a bass that, just for you guys to understand where I'm sitting at in the world with this. Every guitar that's in this screenshot right now, and that's including this, to buy that bass at what they would charge a normal person for it, I'd have to sell all those guitars. That's what would make that bass come in my house. So that is my bucket list. It's a good point. I want to thank the Warwick guys because literally that was crazy. That bass, so you know, has an $8,000 street price on it. That's right. It's like 10 grand retail, $8,000, $7,999 street price. As you guys know, if you watch the channel, I'm never paying that ever. So they gave me my bucket list. And because of that, I don't have one now. So thank them for that. Yeah, see, Paul Cartwright says, me too, I want a Warwick. Yeah, I played the inexpensive, but when I say inexpensive, I mean inexpensive Warwicks. I always played the used. I own tons of Corvette Warwicks used, ones you could get for the $1,200 to $1,500 range. And then finally I bought a $1,600 Warwick and used to drool and dream about the $3,000 and $4,000 Warwicks. And then finally I got to a point where I was like, I need to just, Dr. Noberson said Warwick is almost as overrated as Ibanez. You, sir, have no idea what you're talking about when basses are concerned. Warwick is not overrated. They are highly respected for a ton of reasons. There's always an opinion out there about anything, but there's nothing at the Warwick level that is overrated, because here's why. Warwick doesn't make that many instruments. There's nothing to be overrated about. There's literally Ibanez makes millions of instruments and Warwick makes hundreds, so maybe thousands. So yeah, they're not in the same world. But on that note, yeah, it was just their basses are obviously highly refined, just very expensive. Let's see. Do you play it? I play it every day. Yeah, absolutely. It literally, so you know, it is 20 years. No exaggeration I've been wanting that bass for 20 years. I knew exactly. So, when I went to Warwick, I knew exactly when we talked, I said, I knew exactly what I want. I was able to give them the design down to the detail of what I wanted, the woods, the combinations, the everything. It was easy. It probably took me a total of, in fact, I can tell you Marcus, which is the guy at Warwick that helped me design it and go through all the features when we custom laid it out. He was in shock. It probably didn't even take 30 minutes from the minute we sat at his desk and opened up his computer to the minute we were finished with the designs of the instrument. Because I literally go, this is what I want. I want this body, this neck, this scale, these frets, these pickups, this style, this weight, this, you know what I mean? This piece of wood, everything. So yeah, just something I've been wanting for that long. Drooling over Warwick catalogs, because Warwick's great. Warwick's just one of like 4 or 5 companies that are just make high-end basses that are just nice. So, all right. Yeah, here's one. Depiece, whatever. Deficit, sure. Says, I have a Warwick Streamer Standard, no longer produced. That was German made, but more basic and mid-price. Yep, it was awesome. Never goes out of tune. Yeah, right. Well, here's the deal, man. These Warwick's not one of those companies that are like they don't deal any hype or anything. They just like, they make really nice instruments. So that's just their thing. You know what I mean? And then we'll finish up. We'll give it, we got two more quick ones. DPC also said Warwick has the best customer service in the industry. I once emailed customer service and HP himself answered. Yeah, so I have a funny story, and then we'll end on that. Yes, Hans Peter is the owner of Warwick, and some people like him. Some people have issues. I can't tell you that. I can only tell you this. He's always been nice to me at the event, and I'm a nobody. It's not like I went there and I'm like, he had no reason to be nice to me. But what I will tell you is this. When I got to hang out with him for about 4 hours at the event. And when I was hanging out with him, he was very nice and he gave me all the attention in the world you can give somebody with doing stuff. But he was constantly answering the phone and helping customers. Yes. So what I can tell you is if you are a Warwick customer and you call Warwick, getting the owner of Warwick on the phone is as effortless as anyone can ever want it to be. So yes. There you go. And Damon Daughtry says, hey, Phil, how do you fix a loose input jack or output jack, depending on how you want to say it? By the way, I'm not giving you crap. I call it input jack too, even though it's an output jack. There's nothing wrong. Maybe we say input because the plug goes in it. Maybe we say output because the signal goes out of it. Doesn't really matter. Everybody knows what we mean. On an acoustic electric guitar, well, ironically, I have a video on that. I will put a link in the description to explain the little trick I use, and I'll make sure it's in there on the rebroadcast so you can watch that video, and that will help, I hope. And then James, since we're on bass time, we're going to do bass. James McDonald says, Phil, what do you think of the current Fender Runnable lineup? It's what I use, buddy. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can't. I got them right here. My Rumble's right here. I have a Rumble 40 and a Rumble 25. Love them. Rumble stuff, cheap. Sounds good. I don't know. What else could you want? So. And, so, Zim's Guitar says, Boss Metal Zone is the greatest pedal ever. With an exclamation point. That's important that you know that. So it's been around a long time. So I don't bust Zim's Guitars. He happens to know there's a video coming next week. There's a video on the Metal Zone, because if there's one thing you guys know about YouTube, if you're a YouTuber, you have to do a Metal Zone video. I promise to have the most unique Metal Zone video ever. Whether it's good or not, I won't ever say, but I promise it is the most unique Metal Zone pedal video ever. Thomas Matthews, one pet peeve I'm going to let you know. Says, Phil, can you please answer my question? No, you have to repeat your question over and over again. I'm sorry, buddy. It's like I can't find, like if I scroll up, I try. Whenever you guys say, please answer my question, I hate it that, here it is. I hate it when you cover, always copy paste your question. I'll get to it. It says, I have a 1998 Korean Gibson Epiphone Les Paul. When I bend the third string, the plastic at the top where the strings go, the nut, through makes a straining sound. Yeah, what should I do? Okay, easy. What you need to do is, that's your G string, and that's okay. You need to first take a pencil, just take a pencil and stick a pencil in there, put some of that graphite in there. Or you can use Vaseline. I wouldn't use that, but you can use petroleum jelly. It works too. But you got to lubricate those slots. Lubricate the slots and see if it fixes the issue even for a little bit. If it does, that's the first step. It looks like the nut just needs to be cut correctly. What happens is that even though the guitar is old, 1998, it's 20 years old, the nut is, I don't know if it's the original nut or not, but if it is, even if it's been there for a time, what happens is, the strings kind of work their way through and they kind of make everything work. But then over time, they kind of cut in and make new problems. So it sounds to me like you have a binding issue, the strings binding in the nut. 99 80% of all tuning issues come from the nut, the nut not being correctly done. So it has to be done. That's this how it goes. And then the last, we'll say Ryan Harper says, hey, Phil, have you ever heard of Gress guitars, AK or Santo guitars? You should check them out. I think you'd like their stuff, and they are affordable. That is interesting. I would like to check them out. So I'll say it. So I'll index it, Gress guitars, AK or Santo guitars. I will check them out. It's always cool to hear about new guitars. So very cool. As always, guys, I want to thank you for hanging out with me on this Friday, doing the chat, doing all this stuff. Some cool announcements that are probably interesting. Maybe, I don't know. There's a video tomorrow. That's going to be the Archon versus the Tremonti amp. So you guys see how that worked out. And then there's going to be a lot of videos because I held back some videos over the last 2 weeks. And so they're all ready to go. So I'm just going to launch them all really quickly. So there you go. There's that. Including this Metal Zone video that hopefully you guys like. Otherwise, like I said, it'll promise to be unique. As always, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. We hit some pretty cool numbers today, and you guys are the best. And I'll make sure my wife knows you guys like the shirts as always. And until next time, know your gear.